All right, so Matt and I were talking about sharing some of our spots with you guys, just kind of while we set up where and where we like. So this is one of the farms I've hunted for a long time, and this is the most central ridge on the entire farm. And I used to hunt here. I call this place Buck Only, and you can see it's just a little ridge. You can see it falls off that side, and there's a little drain right there, and it falls off to the bigger drain that direction. So it's a tight little ridge. There's some thick stuff on it, as you would expect, some heavily used trails just being so central on the farm. Anyway, back when I started hunting, I would just dive off in here, and I actually had a set way down there, and that I would sit quite often, and I'd sit it way too early most of the time, and not realizing that this is a spot that needs to be reserved for the very best days, where I could hunt all around. This is a spot that needs to be reserved for during the desperate seeking, or at least we feel like they'd be on their feet during the daylight. Anyway, but I used to just dive off in here. There's a power line way up there, and I used to just walk down the ridge, and I would walk all the way down the ridge to get up right on the edge. You can kind of see it kind of thickens up a little bit. I climbed that poplar several times, and there's a few other trees that I used to climb. But then I started having some experiences when I would bump deer on the way in, and I couldn't really wrap my mind around why I was doing it. I mean, how to avoid that. So then I really started thinking, and if you look, there's an old logging road right here, and obviously it goes down to this ditch, and most of you guys probably already know where I'm going here. But this is when I started hunting, and I really didn't made enough mistakes to where I could figure out what to do. But my entry changed, which changed my set. I moved my set up this direction, and my set's now it's in that tree right there. Not that one, the one beside it, because I have the cedar to break me up and stuff, keep me from getting skylined. Anyway, I use this ditch to walk down and then come up, and the ditch is just deep enough. It's pretty deep right there. It's probably 12 foot deep, bank to bank. However, I actually walk down that side, and I can almost enter the ditch at where the timber meets the power line. And I've had several times, and I actually let it take my time when I'm coming in, because normally it's pretty dark. I try to get in here early before the deer come back here to bed. But what I do is I walk down the ditch early. I'll take my time coming in, and often I'll hear deer up here feeding on acorns. I'll hear them, bumping around, especially because I wait for the right time of year. But what it does is it keeps my scent down. The deer are not going to cross my trail down in that ditch. They're crossing here, and then they'll walk the sides of these ridges and cross periodically, but they don't just walk down the ditch. So there's two things. I'm keeping my scent down from an area they're going to walk, and I don't bump deer coming in and out. I've noticed it made a huge difference. I said it several times, probably 7 or 8 years before I started using the ditch. First time I ever used the ditch, I actually used it on a really cold mid-October morning, and I killed a 10-pointer. So it works. Just when you find that spot, it is just as important to find your entry to that spot, because with a bad entry, it can turn a good spot into a subpar or a bad one. You can really mess up your other areas. Thanks.